I'm so scared, but I think it's gonna stay. Pray for my camera, guys. I'm literally on the highway and I don't have a car tripod, but I've got it propped pretty well, and I promise I'm paying attention. This is actually better than vlogging with my phone because I don't have to hold it and it'll actually stay up, I hope. Stay with me, baby. Stay with me. Welcome back for another video, or welcome if you're new here. If you are new here, you should definitely subscribe and stick around. I share a lot of beauty and lifestyle and advice videos on this channel, and I would love to have you join the Curlyhairlove fam. So today's topic is what 2 years of job searching taught me. And no, this is not a clickbait title or anything like that. I genuinely did job search from about June of 2016 until May of this year, and then I started my current job in June of this year. So it was basically a 2-year long process for me. And I did have a job for the majority of that time because obviously I couldn't not work for 2 years. That's just not a thing that is okay. For those of you who don't know already, I was a receptionist at a law firm for about a year and a half of that time. It was a fairly solid job, you know, it paid the bills and it was fairly flexible, which was nice for traveling and also being able to go to interviews and job search. So I definitely want you guys to know that there's no shame in taking like an admin role or a customer service job, you know, to kind of like pay the bills and just like get by while you figure things out. It definitely gives you a lot more flexibility, and you also have the ability to be a little bit more kind of picky in your job search because you're not going to just jump on the first opportunity that you get because you need a job, you know what I mean? So, and I apologize if the lighting keeps changing throughout this video. It's just kind of what I'm working with since I'm driving. But yeah, anyway, here we are on this journey together, and I hope that you guys will grab a snack or a cup of coffee or something like that, because I'm sure this video is going to be a bit longer. I have a lot that I'd love to share with you. Definitely make sure to take this advice with a grain of salt, because this is just what I learned from my experiences and kind of how I got through a more difficult job search, and I'll get into why a little bit briefly. I studied film and video in college. I'm sorry for those of you who've stuck around for a while, you're hearing this again, but so that's my background. I absolutely love video and video production, and it's just totally my thing, right? So unfortunately, this industry and a lot of creative industries are very competitive and are not as cut and dry to break into as some more kind of traditional industries, I guess, if you will. Don't get me wrong, every job search is a journey, and you really just kind of have to do the best that you can to find the right fit. It's really rare, I feel like, to just like get the perfect offer before you even graduate. It does happen. I've seen it happen for some of my friends, and I'm so happy for them. It's a totally normal journey to have to figure out your life post-grad. Like, a lot of us go through it. Please don't feel alone. You're definitely not. There's plenty of resources and like Instagrams and blogs, you know, of people that are going through these same things. So definitely don't feel like you're alone, but also don't take my one experience as this is the exact way it's going to go for you, because like that's just not necessarily the case. Everyone's on their own path, and like maybe you'll get a job a lot faster than I did, or maybe it'll take you a little longer to kind of find your way, but you will get there, I promise. My first piece of advice might seem obvious, but I definitely think it's important to be said anyway. When it comes to a job search, any job search, even when it's a more difficult one or an easy one, you have to remember not to give up. Do not give up, because it's so easy to just kind of settle for like, oh, well, I got this like admin job or whatever. And don't get me wrong, like if that's your skill set and you love organizing things, you see yourself being in an administrative kind of role for the rest of your life, like please, more power to you, go do that. I'm just kind of talking about it from the perspective of a creative person. So for me, as much as I was good at being in an admin role, it was not something that I enjoyed, and it definitely was something that kind of just honestly made me miserable. My point is, if you have a passion that you're working towards and like you really want your career to follow that, don't give up on it, because once you get there, it's so worth it. My next tip is to stay busy, and this one is especially important if you are job searching, let's say right after college, or you're in between jobs. Maybe something didn't work out with your last job and you're back on the job market. It's really easy to just kind of of become consumed by the process and just like be constantly checking your LinkedIn and your email and looking at your phone and hoping that it's gonna ring. It's so easy to get consumed by that, but that's honestly so unhealthy, and it's not gonna be productive for you or like really help you in the process in any way. It's definitely important to stay busy and keep yourself occupied outside of your job search. It doesn't mean give up on it, of course, but you also want to make sure that you're still like spending time with your friends and your family and working on your hobbies and maybe watching some Netflix. Like, you're allowed to breathe and live outside of a job search, and that is going to really just help you to clear your mind and, you know, be that much more ready to take on your search whenever you do start again. I've officially hit some classic DMV traffic, but that's okay. Our audio will be a little better for this part of the video. So my next tip is to keep learning. And depending on your field, this could take different meanings. For me, since I am in a creative kind of field, or at least I was trying to break into one, I made sure to keep working on my YouTube videos and learning anything that I could. I definitely love to kind of poke around on YouTube and watch tutorials on different things that I haven't learned yet. Or I also took a social media course from Hootsuite, and so I really got to kind of strengthen my skills and kind of learn the mindset from a business side. So anyway, those are just a few examples, but it's really important to keep learning regardless of your field. You know, there's podcasts out there, like there's so many resources that you can tap into to kind of keep yourself sharp, and maybe find some things, like if you do get a new certification or something, you can add that to your resume. That gives you more credibility, but also it's going to make you more confident because you're gonna be like, yeah, I do know this stuff, because not only do I have this background, but like I'm continuing to learn it and I love it and I can't wait to work in it full time, you know? My next tip is to be persistent. And I know this kind of sounds like don't give up, but it has a different meaning for me. So it's definitely important while you're job searching to keep track of all the things that you've applied for, whether you've done like a phone interview or an in-person interview, and like if you have to send them any materials, just make sure that you're staying on top of things and you're following up when you should be. And it definitely doesn't mean that you should be emailing a company every single day after they interview you, because you're going to scare them away if you do that. But at the same time, you want them to know that you're interested and you care, and you want to kind of find that closure too, because some companies, of course, unfortunately, won't tell you if you didn't get a position and they hired someone else. And so sometimes the only way for you to get that closure is to follow up a week or two after the interview if you haven't heard anything. That way you can also get that closure for yourself, and, you know, hopefully they'll respond to get back to you. But either way, you'll kind of get a sense of where you're at, and if you should be kind of waiting to see what happens. Maybe they're taking their time with the decision or whatever, they have more logistics on their end. And if not, you find out that it ended up being not the right fit, and you can move on and focus your energy on looking into new opportunities. My next tip is specifically for interviewing, and it is to dress the part. And I know this also sounds really obvious, like your mom is always like, wear your best dress, or I don't know, like a blazer, or, you know, obviously like shirt and tie for a guy. This is not only important to make a good impression on the company that you're interviewing with, it's important for your confidence and feeling good when you're going into the interview, because you want to put your best foot forward. And if you feel great, you're gonna make that much more of a good impression because you're putting your best foot forward. I definitely think it's important to dress the part, and I always tried to kind of make sure that my makeup was done up, and like, you know, I had an outfit that I really loved, and it really didn't have a lot to do with the company that I was interviewing for. Yes, I wanted to look good and make a good impression, but I also wanted to look good for myself so that I could feel like I was putting my best foot forward and feel like I was ready to just kill the interview every time. My next tip is kind of related to like karma and good energy if you believe in any of that, but even if you don't, always say thank you. This is such a key and like small detail that a lot of people overlook in the job search, and it just flabbergasts me, honestly, because yes, it's a difficult process on your end, but you also have to think about the company. Like, they're interviewing however many candidates, and they had to dig through who knows how many resumes to even find yours. So it's so important, even if you just have a 5-minute phone interview with them, you know, like send them an email, tell them thank you. If you can remember something nice about the conversation or something important that you took away from it, make sure to include that too. And, you know, those little steps go a long way, because not everyone takes the time to do those things. And so you instantly set yourself apart. And even if it doesn't work out, you're still putting good energy out there and being thankful for kind of being part of the process. You never know when you might cross paths with that person again in your career, or it's just good to put that good energy out there, and it certainly doesn't hurt your chances. I also learned that though some people will say it's outdated, you don't need to do it by any means anymore. I had a friend tell me that because he wrote a physical thank you card, he was the one who got his job offer. I'm not really positive. I've never asked if sending a thank you card helped me to get my current job, but I do think it doesn't hurt to just kind of go that extra mile and like show your gratitude and just put that good energy out there. It's not gonna hurt your chances, you know, it can only help. My next tip is to be yourself. And I know I sound like a mom right now, but it really is so important to do. And I don't mean that you're gonna roll in sweatpants and be like, hey, like this is me, what's up? You have to kind of do it in a professional way, but you also do want to share that little bit of your personality, and don't be afraid to let that shine, because when it comes down to it, whoever you're talking to, you get this job, you're going to work with them. And as much as they are interviewing you to see if you're a good fit for the role, you're also interviewing them to see if they're a good company and this job is right for you. It needs to be a mutual good fit. So just be yourself. It's not gonna hurt you. And I definitely think putting myself out there helped me to get my current role, because I wasn't afraid to talk about what made me different. The reason they brought me in for my interview was my YouTube channel. It's definitely something that's different about me. Don't be afraid to highlight what's different about you and what makes you stand out, because that, you know, is what makes you you and what might make you a good asset to their team. So yeah, anyway, don't be afraid to be yourself in a professional way. So my next tip is more for the interview process in general. Remember that the company wants things to work too. I know that it's such a nerve-wracking process. Even if you are such a confident person, you do kind of have to be a little vulnerable, because you're like throwing yourself out there like, hey, love me, hire me, you know? And so you just have to remember that the person interviewing you and the company that you're interviewing with, they want it to work. That makes things easier for them. Try to not put too much pressure on yourself, because the process just will be what it will be, and it's either gonna work or it's not, but you're gonna find your way to the right fit and to something that is going to just teach you so much and help you to grow, and it's gonna be great. So my next tip kind of builds off of the last one, and it is to not take the process too personally. Now, don't get me wrong, like job searching is so freaking hard. It's just a process, and you have to trust it as much as you can, but at the same time, it sucks. You know, especially when you get those no's from jobs you were really excited about, like, but at the same time, you have to know not to take it too personally, because sometimes it's just not the right fit for you, and someone else might have had, you know, a little bit better qualifications, or maybe they just kind of meshed better with the team. Like, there's so many other factors that honestly don't even have anything to do with you. It's so important to not take the process too personally and to not get discouraged by what's going on around you. You will figure it out, you will get there, and it'll be so worth it once you get that job offer. My last tip is definitely an important one, and it is to not be afraid to say no if it's not the right fit. This is especially hard if you're kind of in between things, but like honestly, go with your gut. If a job doesn't seem right, it's not right, and that's okay. It's okay to say no, and it's okay to kind of keep figuring things out, because if you take a job that isn't a good fit for you, like you're gonna end up miserable, and then you're just gonna end up within however many months back on the job market, back to doing the same thing, and that's a waste of your time, that's a waste of the company's time. There is no shame in saying no to the wrong opportunities so that you can say yes to the right opportunity. I actually, this is part of my story that I haven't shared with you guys, but literally the day that I got my offer from the company that I work for now, I got a job offer from a company that I really wasn't sure about. I'd interviewed with them earlier in the week, and you know, it seemed great, but it really wasn't what was kind of advertised to me. It was a very different role, and the expectations were kind of different than what I expected, and I was polite and professional, and of course I was like, oh yeah, like it would be great, blah blah blah. But then even as I went home, I was like, I really don't think that would be the right job for me, you know? And then they came around with an offer, and they were being kind of pushy about it. It was through a staffing agency, and so the agent kept calling me, and she was like, no, like they need your decision today, like blah blah blah. And I was like, oh well, I've been in the interview process is for another role that I'm really excited about. I just really want to, you know that answer too before I make a decision. And so I like ended up contacting the company I work for now and letting them know that I got another offer and that I would love to know like when they were going to make a decision, basically. And I do think that that actually helped me to get an offer, because they were like, oh no, we need this girl, hey. So I'm definitely not like advocating for making that up if it's not true. Like, that's just not right to do. But my point is, if I had jumped just as soon as I got that job offer, I might have missed out on the opportunity of my job now, which I love so much and I'm so happy in, and I'm learning every single day. There is just no feeling like that, you guys, and it's so worth saying no to the wrong opportunities. So I will get off my little pedestal now and stop talking about that, but I just want you guys to know that it's really important to not only take the process seriously, just do it for you. Like, this is your job search, and it's going to be your job that you have to show up to every single weekday, and that is a lot of time to spend doing something. So you definitely should make sure that it's going to be worth it for you, and it's going to be something that you at least kind of enjoy, or something that you're going to be able to learn from and grow from and just continue your career with. Alright guys, that is it for this video. Thank you so much for sticking around through how long and rambly and just like the random lighting changes and all of this. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful, and if you're in the thick of things with your job search right now, just know that it will be worth it and you can do this. I promise you can. Guys, like, film and video is a really freaking competitive field, and it's not like I moved to California to do it. I moved to Washington, D.C. to do it. And I found a way to not only find a film and video job, but find one that I love and that is so great for me and that I'm learning so much in. So anyway, I've talked about that enough, but basically my point is you can do it and you will so get there. Just don't give up. And if you want some moral support, leave a comment down below. I would love to hear from you, and I'm sure that other people would love to hear that they're not alone in their job search as well. And without rambling even more, I'm going to go now. I love you guys so much. Thank you again for watching this video. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up if you did enjoy it, and subscribe below if you're new here. You can also check out my social media down below if you want to do that. That's totally cool. If not, also, that's cool. Anyway, I hope that you're having a great day or night whenever you're watching this, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.
Love is holding us, but are we gonna play?